All right, it is preview time in the Stanley Cup playoff as we get ready for the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Florida Panthers coming up. It starts tomorrow. The biggest story of this is obviously the best player on the biggest stage. Connor McDavid finally gets his opportunity to play for the Stanley Cup. He has been incredible his entire career, and then specifically in these playoffs. And it would be fitting that he would win the Stanley Cup this year because this has been, and it is tough to pinpoint when it hasn't been at a high level, but this has been the best hockey of Connor McDavid's career, in my opinion. He has been so good this season. And now he gets his first moment in the Stanley Cup. But really, it's been that whole line. And make no mistake about it, a lot of that is because of how good McDavid is. But Zach Hyman has played the role of Zach Hyman really, really well in these playoffs. He has been unstoppable in front of the net in the postseason. He is a real weapon in front of the net there. And I know that there is a lot of, oh, well, McDavid just whatever. But the way he is able to win battles in tight, the way he's able to elevate the puck in close has really done wonders for this team. And I think he is, when they got him, that was one of the real missing pieces. They still needed some on the back end. We'll talk about them in a second. But he has been so great. And he makes this line unstoppable and almost impossible to defend when he is out there and he is doing his thing. The one part of this where you are looking at, okay, what needs to happen now for Edmonton? Draisaitl needs to step up. Possession-wise, the group was fine in the series against Dallas, but he needs to be producing, and I think he needs to be a little bit more noticeable. I didn't love his game in the West Final, and I think having this layoff is going to help. I think having a couple of extra days between some games when they travel is going to help him specifically, I think, the most in this series, and maybe even give Edmonton an edge. I have no idea where I'm going prediction-wise in this series, by the way. But I do think that Florida is too deep for Draisaitl to not be a factor. And I just said that against Dallas, but I do think that this is a Florida Panthers team that has so many options that Draisaitl can't just be a passenger. He needs to be one of the 2, 3, 4, 5 best players in the world that he can be and continue to step it up that way. They need him. We talked about it in the NBA Finals with Kyrie. I think Edmonton needs Draisaitl to be the second best player in this series. If they get that, they're probably winning the Stanley Cup. If they don't, they still might, because McDavid's that good and the rest of the team is actually pretty good too. But they need Draisaitl. I think he can be a real X factor in this series. And then I'm interested to see what role the depth guys play. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I kind of called him out for being a little bit quiet in the Edmonton-Dallas series. And then he goes out and scores 2 of the biggest goals of the series, helping this team get to the Stanley Cup. Perry and Fogle helped Draisaitl get going. What do they do? And who are the other players that step up in this series? We talk about Florida's depth. Edmonton has had it at times. We will see if they have it again. On the back end, never, ever, 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 ever put Nurse and Cece back together. That should not be a thing. Florida has way too much offensive talent to throw that old reliable out there and have it be a problem again. So we will see what they do. But it should not be that. And the big one, though, is Bouchard and Ekholm. They have been unstoppable in the playoffs. In back-to-back series, Bouchard has outplayed Hughes, and I think he outplayed Heiskanen in the Western Conference Final. If that is the best defensive pair in this series, that is a massive boost for the Edmonton Oilers. And it's so interesting to look at how you can kind of counterpoint these two teams with the high-end talent that they have, some of the great players they have on the blue lines, some of the unpredictable players they have between the pipes, and the depth pieces. It really is going to be such a fun battle to watch. And then lastly, Skinner has to stay hot. He has been incredible since he got yanked during the Vancouver series. He cannot let in one bad one. He can't give this Panthers team extra goals and allow them to get that momentum going or to take any momentum away from the Edmonton Oilers. Both these teams have to be looking at this, and this is the way it should be. It's the Stanley Cup, but they have to play perfect for 4 to 7 games if they are going to reach the ultimate destination and be able to hoist up this trophy here at the end. I know it looks a whole lot smaller in person, but they need to play almost perfect hockey if they're going to get to that level. And then the last one for me for Edmonton is they cannot fall into the Tkachuk-Bennett trap that some teams have fallen into in the past. They have to just kind of let that shit slide. And for Tkachuk and Bennett, and they have been better about this, to be fair, but they cannot be the only ones heading to the box on anything. Because this Edmonton power play is too ridiculously good to be giving these guys extra things for extra shots after the whistle. So that's it from the Edmonton side.